Welcome to the second video in our series of getting familiar with the Adobe Connect environment. In this particular video, we're going to be learning about the various layouts and how to change or modify or customize the layouts that you see in Adobe Connect. As we mentioned in the introduction video, you have the Layouts menu where you can switch between some built-in layouts that are available to you. You also have the layout bar over here on the right hand side that also allows you to switch between your different layouts. From the Layouts menu, you also have an option to be able to create a new layout. A new layout indicates that you're starting almost from a blank slate where you can select the pods that you want to include in a layout, give it a name, and then save it. While you are working in your current classroom environment, either for the day or over a multi-day class, you will have access to any new layouts that you've created. However, as we also mentioned in the introduction video, layouts are not persistent. They are not saved into a library for future use. So once your class is ended, any custom layout that you have created will be lost. In most cases, most instructors will probably use the built-in layouts and then just rearrange or customize them at their preferences during the duration of that class or event. To get familiar with the different layouts, we've discussed already the lobby layout, which we identified includes the Who's Here, which is just your list of students attending the class. The welcome screen, which is just that, an image that says Welcome to Online Live. The class starts in. This can be used either at the beginning of class to indicate how much time before the class actually begins, or during breaks or the lunch break to indicate how much time they have before the class will resume. The Files panel can be used as a way to share information. So if you're wanting to share a PDF version of the courseware with your students or custom exercise files that you've created, then you can share those out with your students. The Hands Up toolbar, we discussed this briefly in our introduction overview, which is the same for all intents and purposes as our status menu up here at the top. This is also so that students can indicate if they have a question, thumbs up, thumbs down for agree or disagree, or good to go, or no, I need help. And then other things to indicate that, that was funny or entertaining, they enjoyed it, applause. You have a notes section. The default notes that you will see when you're in the lobby include the instructions for doing the audio setup wizard to make sure that students are able to hear and that their equipment is functioning properly. And then the chat feature is probably the more popular way that people prefer to communicate. So the chat can be seen by the entire classroom, as that little tab there at the bottom indicates. So these are the basic pods that you will see during the lobby layout, and you will see most of these pods when you switch over to other layouts as well, but you might see additional layouts, or additional pods, or fewer pods than what you see here. So if I switch over to my lecture layout, you can see how the pods rearranged. I still have a place to be able to share out my screen. This can be used to share out a screen, share out a document, share out a whiteboard if I need to write notes or illustrate something. This particular layout also includes the live webcam video area. So if you have your video camera turned on, then this is where students will be able to see your video feed. The Who's Here pod is down below that, which again displays a list of everybody who is participating in the class. And then below that you have the chat feature. And then you also have the Hands Up toolbar. So you'll notice that the class starts in, the Files pad, and also the Notes pod are not present in this particular layout. I could add those in if I wanted to, and we'll see how you can do that a little bit later on. Getting familiar with the other layouts that are available to you, you have your discussion pod. And again, you can see how things have kind of rearranged. Here they give you the Hands Up toolbar, your webcam, the participants list, discussion, a chat feature, and then also a poll section. So they don't really have anything that allows for screen sharing, but again, additional pods could be opened up for that purpose. The activity pod, here you'll have a place where you can do your screen share. You'll have the participants window, the chat, and also the hands up toolbar. The whiteboard is going to be similar to that of the lecture, where you're going to have a place for your webcam. The who's here. Your hands up toolbar is down here at the bottom. There's a chat feature still available to you. Also a place for you to share your files. And then it's automatically taking you from a screen share environment to the whiteboard so that you're ready to type or illustrate something that you want to discuss. The last layout that they have, or the last primary layout that they have, is the blank. This is just that. It starts off with a blank slate. So from here I can open up additional pods using my pods menu and then arrange them on screen to get them looking just like I want. And then I could go in and save that so that I have it for future use, at least during the class environment. Now the last one that you have here is called a footprints, and this is really more of an analytical layout that we don't really use in our classes. Clicking on footprints is going to display information about the class, cost, time, things like that. I'm going to return back to the activity layout, which is a layout that I like to use quite a bit. So as we mentioned, you can go in and customize or create new pods. If you want, you can go in and just rearrange or customize the current pod that you're working with. So if I wanted to add in an additional pod like the webcam, for example, I can go to my pods menu, go down to where it says live webcam video. You can see that the pod opens up just in front. So right now it is blocking whatever I might be showing in that pod from behind it. So if I want to rearrange things, I can go in and specify how I want to rearrange things. So you can place your cursor along the edge of a pod to get a double-sided arrow. And on most of these you'll be able to do it on all four sides. And so when I click and drag down, I was able to resize that down to a smaller size. I may want to be able to see more of my student names though, so I might want to go ahead and adjust my chat feature down to a smaller area. I can then move this pod down, and you'll notice that as I am doing that, little guidelines appear to kind of help you line up or position your pods. Then I can go in and I can resize. You'll notice that here I'm placing my cursor over a corner of the pod, and I can resize it down both height and width at the same time, and then I can position it where I want it to go. And if I need to size it even further, I still can to get it fitting into the space. So I have gone in basically and just rearranged a given layout to customize to my own preferences or needs. If I decide at some point that I want to return the activity layout to its original settings, I can come back up here to my layouts menu and then go down to where it says reset layouts. And it's going to let me know that it's going to reset it back to its original positions. So I'm going to go ahead and say reset. And so you can see how it goes back and reconfigures to the default layout, which was actually in this case the lobby. So it's returned back to the lobby setting. Down at the bottom, if I start with the blank, same thing that we just discussed. I can go to my pods, select either from the different categories or list of pods that are normally used. So if I wanted to bring up a basic web share, or not a web share, but just a screen share, I can say add new share. And you'll notice that since there was no other items on here, that it pretty much filled up the entire space. Now, while we are looking at this, you can see this little message popping up saying that the recording will start. So we talked about this in the intro video. This is a message that you may see that indicates that once you have 3 or more people, the prompt will also return to record. So just like we saw a moment ago, I can resize this and position it where I want it to be in the layout. Then if I want to bring up additional pods, okay, maybe I want my who's here, and I want to bring that over here to the right. And since it's not fitting in exactly, I can resize it. I may also want to bring up my little hands up toolbar. So here I can go to my share, and since there are some of the preloaded pods here, you'll see hands up is one of the items in the list. You'll notice that it just brings it in front. So all I can do is mouse over the top. You'll see the little title bar up here, and I can start to position it where I want it to go. And you'll notice that on this one and some of the other pods as well, they kind of scale as you work with them. Right? And then if there's another pod that I want to bring up, like a chat feature, for example, go back to my pods, chat, bring up the basic Let's Chat pod, and maybe put that down here at the bottom. And then if I wanted to bring up any other pods, it's just a matter of going back and selecting which ones I want. So maybe I want to do my web video camera. And again, I can bring this down, resize it either by height and width or height and width by dragging from a corner. Okay, and so now I've gone in and created my own configuration of panels. Down in the bottom right hand corner of your layout bar, you'll see a little plus sign and a little wrench and hammer or screwdriver combination. So if I go over to where it says add layouts, you can see that I can either create a new blank layout or I can duplicate an existing layout. So if I want to duplicate an existing one, I can select the one that I want to duplicate and then create a name for this new layout. Okay, so if I say I want to create a new blank layout, and then I might just give it a name and call it My Layout. Click OK. So you can see that now I'm back to my layout, and it's starting with a blank slate. So just like I did with the blank one, this way, once I finish it, it'll be saved out as my layout. Right now, the blank isn't very blank because of the pods that we added to it. Okay. And then again, if I come back down here to my Prepare Layouts option, you'll see that it allows you to go into the prepare mode. So you see a notice here that says you are now in prepare mode. This allows you to view and edit layouts without interfering with the presentation. Changes made to the active pods will be reflected to the participants. Okay. To get out of that, all I have to do is go back down to my prepare layouts again, and that turns it off. You will also find that option from your layouts menu. So I can go layouts, I'm sorry, not layouts, meeting menu. There we go. So if I go to my meeting menu, I can go to where it says switch to prepare mode, and that takes you into that same mode again. And then to exit, meeting, end prepare mode. So then, if I go back to my layouts, and I say to reset the layouts, reset, okay, so blank goes back to being a blank layout again. You can still kind of see that there's the, there's a small pod that runs in the background for the recording purposes, and it's on every single layout, but eventually it kind of just turns itself off. So you'll notice that that indicator is no longer there. Right? So even starting off with the lobby layout, as I mentioned before, this can be modified. So at the beginning of classes, maybe I don't want to use the class starts in. I can go in and hide that pod. So every pod in the top right hand corner has this little options menu. From that I can say I want to hide it, and then maybe I don't need the files panel right now, so same thing, I can say to hide it. So we had seen how to add pods to the environment, but now we are also seeing how to remove pods from our layout as well. And then I can resize this to have it fill up that space, or maybe bring up another pod that I want to use. So the default setting, as we already mentioned, is that all of your pods can be manipulated, rearranged, resized, moved, open, closed, and so forth. So this video has gone through and shown you the basics of working with the different layouts, identifying the default layouts that you have built into Adobe Connect, and then also showing you how you can customize and modify existing layouts or create your own custom layouts. I hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial. Thank you very much.